Disappointing loss. I thought we came in with a good plan. We fought hard. That's what makes it difficult. Just in the end, too many little things, a couple false starts, critical situations, obviously the turnover, missed PATs, but, tip your hat. It was a hard-fought game. Any questions?
Were you able to tell what happened on the missed PAT?
Missed him left.
What was the explanation on the roughing the passer play?
No explanation.
So
There wasn't an explanation. What do you want me to say?
I was just
Do you want my
saying-
opinion on it?
Yeah.
No opinion on it.
Okay.
Next question.
Second week in a row, a lot of mistakes, but the team fought. At the
Thought
end.
we had a good plan coming in with this game specifically.
So how'd you feel like Mark played last Mark?
Pretty good with the injury we had. Ty got hurt early. That really impacted some of the stuff we were going to do. But I thought he laid it out there.
Sean, what do you think about the way Trevor Siemian played? It seemed like in the fourth quarter he really sort of dialed in.
Yeah,
Would you agree
yep,
with that?
I would agree.
Did you make any adjustments at the half? Because the first half they had, I think, 4 sacks and none in the second.
Yeah, there were a couple things that we fixed. And look, I thought the guys up front, we wanted to come in and be balanced and make sure that it wasn't one-dimensional. We just felt like that was going to be the right plan, and so we were able to do that.
Did that? How much did the false start on the 2-point conversion attempt at the end change your play calling there? Or
Everything. I mean, significant from the 2 to the significant.
were you thinking before that, since you switched quarterbacks, were you thinking about some potential run play with Taysom?
We'll see. I'm not going to tell you what play it was, Catherine. Seriously.
Not a play, but I just.
Next question. Next question. Next question. Obviously, it changes the play when you're on the 2 and you go to the 7.
Sean, you guys haven't made excuses for injuries all year, but when you're missing guys like you were today.
Look, it's the NFL, and that's part of the deal. And I hear you. I thought the way we approached this game, you've got to be able to still play. And that's the one thing we've been able to do, fight through it. So we'll continue to do that.
But does that, when you're having this stuff like that, like fumbled kickoffs and missed extra points, does that make it harder to?
I think that makes it hard for a healthy team.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree? Yeah.
Sean, what's kind of the process for cleaning up some of those self-inflicted things that?
Man, it's the attention to detail, obviously. We look at it as coaches, too, start with me. But then pretty soon we start looking at who's doing it. We start evaluating who's making plays and who's not. And that just is what it is. That's our league. All right, thank you.
And not happy, to say the least. I think for several reasons. This game started slow for the Saints. Lots of penalties in the beginning of this game. Trevor Siemian at quarterback was sacked 4 times. Some of those could have been his fault. Some of those are on the offensive line. Cesar Ruiz got beat twice up the middle. You can't have that happen through the first half of the game and then expect the outcome to be much different. They really did play much better in the second half of this game. However, the Saints, right now, they lead the NFL in points scored in the fourth quarter. 92 points scored in the fourth quarter because they have to be scoring in the fourth quarter in order to get back in these games and have an ability to win in the end. Today, not enough. Came down to the very last few minutes of this ball game. Trevor Siemian with the pass to Marquez Callaway late in the game made it a 2-point game. They needed a successful 2-point conversion in order to push this one into overtime. Not something that they were able to do, as Adam Troutman was called for a false start. That pushed them back 5 yards, made it a 7-yard attempt, and the pass to Ingram was no good. They did attempt an onside kick recovered by the Titans. The Titans then kneeled it down and were able to get the win here. So the Saints, they are number 6 in the NFC coming into this game, really needed this win today. They were 5-3 coming in. They are now 5-4. The Bucs weren't doing very well, so they had the opportunity to move up in the NFC South with the win, obviously having that tiebreaker with the Bucs. But now they look ahead. They're at the Eagles. Then they have the Bills here at home on Thanksgiving, and then they will be playing the Cowboys, who are putting up a lot of points on the Falcons today. Last I checked, it was 43-3 late in the fourth quarter. So it's going to be a tough road for the Saints, and they really needed to get this one. Coach Payton saying that it's time to start evaluating some of these players, who is and who is not making the plays that they need during these ball games. It's tough when you don't have your main workhorse, and Alvin Kamara leads the team in rushing, leads the team in receptions and touchdowns, not available to go today. Mark Ingram did step up in his place, running back. Big day for him as he passed Deuce McAllister for the all-time rushing record for the franchise. Deuce had it held at 6,096 yards. Ingram passed that in the second half of play. He came in and he made several receptions as well. He was a target as a wide receiver, so really filling a role that they needed because wide receiver Ty Montgomery went out early in this ball game with a finger injury. I don't know if you saw it. I do not recommend looking at it. His finger, his pinky, was not in a direction that a finger is supposed to be in. So that was unfortunate. And as Coach Payton said, it did affect some of their play calling as the game went on, not having him in the game. Deontay Harris really did step up as far as the receivers go. He had a couple really nice catches, and Trevor Siemian has a good connection with him. They've really connected several times for some big yardage plays. In the end, it just wasn't enough. Lots of penalties, the sacks, as I mentioned. We're going to look at some of the numbers. First downs for the Saints, 14 of them were passing first downs, 5 of them rushing first downs. You can see there, we're not having Kamara in the game is affecting some of your play calling. Overall, they had 373 yards, 287 of them were passing, 86 were rushing. They did really well in the red zone. They scored 3 times when they were in the red zone. However, there were a couple missed point after attempts that kind of came to bite them in the end. There was 2 missed extra points. Early in the game, there was 1, and then later again, a missed extra point. Brian Johnson did hit a field goal, but the 2 points there in the end of this game became the difference. And that's definitely something that they're going to have to look into. Kicking has been an issue for the Saints this entire season. We're going to head to the locker room again, hear from Marcus Davenport on some of the defensive efforts in this one.
What's it going to take to get that big fill out?
More practice, more attention. You know, it's just one of the things we got to get back to. And you say details, you know, it's we just got to figure out ways to win. You know, do all that we can and get back to our details.
Marcus, as a guy rushing the passer, and I'm sure you saw the replay, what did you think about that roughing the passer call on Caden Ellis? I mean, what can you do in that situation to not get that call? Like, how much do you guys talk about that and think about that? And what did you think about the call when you saw it?
Didn't really care about it, actually. You know, for the most part, we just got to play. And we can't control the call. You know, we just got to play full tilt. And it's kind of up to them to make the calls. You know, we don't get a choice in that. So, you know, it's whatever. We got to move past that.
From what you saw, did he do something wrong, like technique-wise, or something that you guys teach not to do in that situation?
Already moved past it.
So moving forward, how do you balance playing full tilt and knowing that, you know, some of those calls aren't going to go your way no matter what you do?
You don't. Just play. That's it. Just continue to play. Who's next? Almost done. We done. Good?
So great.
No problem.
Good.
I did too.
Marcus Davenport, he's at the podium. They're happy to be able to leave the podium. No player likes to talk after a loss. He had 2 sacks in this one. He played really well and helped the defense to a pretty good day. They were able to create a lot of pressure on quarterback Ryan Tannehill from the Titans, and they had several stops in the red zone. There was 3 different times that the Titans were able to get into the red zone and 3 different times that they held them to field goals. So that definitely helped things and gave the Saints an opportunity. Although they weren't able to stop them scoring, they were able to limit them and continue to keep the Saints in this ball game. It was definitely a few suspect calls in this one, I would say, and came up during Davenport's availability there. That call in the second quarter with Caden Ellis getting called for roughing the passer. That was after a Marcus Williams interception in the end zone. And because of that Ellis roughing the passer call and negated the interception, the Titans were able to continue on with the drive, and it did end in a touchdown. And that could have been the difference in this ball game as the Titans kind of continued to gain momentum from that point. At the half, it was 13-6 Titans' favor, and the Saints were never able to take the lead in this one. There was a few other players that really stepped up on the defensive end. Marshawn Lattimore, he had 6 tackles. Demario Davis had 6. He had a big tackle for a loss late in this ball game. Quan Alexander really challenging a lot of the receivers. There was one play in the end zone where early in the game, where he broke up a pass to McNichols, and they were able to hold the Titans to a field goal there to start this game just at 3-0. So they did a really good job limiting the Titans when they did have opportunities. Quan ended up with 5 tackles, 3 solo, and then that pass deflection. Shai Tuttle also stepped up with the pass deflection late in this game. The Saints defense held the Titans after scoring a touchdown or scoring a field goal and then giving them opportunity to score the touchdown late in the game. So the defense really did step up. There were a lot of other players that obviously Marcus Davenport, Malcolm Jenkins, usual suspects that stepped up. Overall, the team had 61 tackles, 2 sacks, 5 tackles for a loss, 4 pass deflections, and 6 quarterback hits. It was tough, though, because Tannehill is a mobile quarterback, and he was doing a good job evading some of the pressure and then still continuing on to complete passes. We are going to hear from several other Saints players momentarily. We've already had Coach Payton, Marcus Davenport, and we're going to be looking for a few others here shortly as they are trying to wrap up things after the 23-21 loss. We can take a look at some of the other scores around the league. The Falcons and the Cowboys game did end. That final there was 43-3. Lions and the Steelers are currently underway, tied at 16. Vikings and the Chargers just getting started. Those are the afternoon games, as well as the Panthers and the Cardinals. Panthers already with a 13-0 lead. And Cameron Newton did get in the ball game. He was available today to go, and it was Cameron Newton passing to Anderson for a 2-yard touchdown for that 13-0 lead there. Bills with a 45-17 win over the Jets. Titans, so we said that. Colts 23-17 over the Jags. Patriots with a 45-7 win over the Browns. Washington had a 29-19 win over the Bucks. As I said earlier, it was an opportunity today for the Saints to gain some ground in the division. Unable to do so. I did see earlier today that Chase Young, their big defensive star for Washington, is out with an ACL tear. So that's unfortunate news for the Washington football team. And then still to come later today, Seahawks, Packers, Chiefs, Raiders tonight. And then Monday night, it will be the Rams and the 49ers. Might be a sore spot for some Saints fans to have to watch that one, as everybody definitely wanted a certain wide receiver to sign here in New Orleans, but not the case. So we're going to have to continue to evaluate the players that we have, as Coach Payton said, and decide who can make this team continue to progress as the season goes on. It's been a tough road. There's been a lot of adversity, a lot of injuries that have been plaguing this team for quite some time today. We mentioned running back Alvin Kamara unable to go, tackle Teron Armstead, and then safety CJ Gardner-Johnson also unavailable. He was actually put on injured reserve yesterday, so he will be out for several games. Unfortunately for the defense, however, there were a lot of others that have stepped up and have done very well for this team. As we continue to go, looks like the Lions and the Steelers are in overtime, tied at 16. So that was not one of the late games this afternoon. That was an early game that's just still continuing on because they are in overtime. Could be a win for the Lions, their first of the season if things go well. They are 0-8 right now. Would be good to see them get a win. And maybe it'd be a good win for them over the Steelers, who are 5-3 right now. I do want to go through some of the plays, specifically looking at the defense. You know, we said that they've stopped the Titans in the red zone several times, 3 different times on the 10, 19, and 18, stopping them for field goals. However, they're still allowing some of those big play opportunities, which are tough because that's what's getting them into the red zone. And while they can stop them in the red zone, they are still allowing too many of those big pass plays. It's because the Saints, they play a lot of press man-to-man coverage, and so the Titans really attacked that by working their crossing routes, and the Saints got burned several times in that regard. It's tough when you're playing man-to-man and you're really trying to create pressure on the quarterback. You're going to get burned sometimes, and teams are really starting to attack the Saints in that way. Maybe some adjustments that'll happen going forward. It'll be interesting to see, especially facing some of these mobile quarterbacks. It's really hard when you're trying to create so much pressure and they have the ability to evade that pressure. Go through some of the quarterback stats. You know, Tannehill had 19 of 27 completed passes for 213 and 1 touchdown. He was sacked twice, both, as I said, by Marcus Davenport for 15 yards. Trevor Siemian didn't have a bad day. Again, no interceptions. He had 2 touchdowns, 19 of 34, 298 yards. And then we did see some Taysom Hill. He came in through 2 passes, both completions for 11 yards, and he was used a lot as a rusher, and then he was also used on special teams. So he's doing a lot for this team. He's come in and helped every way that he can. It's going to be hard when you're without your main offensive threat in Alvin Kamara, and then technically you're on your 3rd quarterback of the season. Did hear, though, that former starting quarterback Jameis Winston had successful surgery on his knee. He is in LA, going to start his rehab process soon. And now Trevor Siemian, right on time, he'll be at the podium here.
What's the takeaway? That you felt that coming all along? You're frustrated you didn't get it going too?
I think we were probably pretty poor on 3rd down in the first half without looking at anything. But that's my initial thought, is we got to find a way to stay on the field early in the game. So.
Sometimes the two-point conversion play is kind of what you saw.
Yeah, I thought I was thinking it was going to have to be a play extension, and then I saw the linebackers back turn on Mark. And I thought that was a pretty good chance to get one there. But I think, you know, without having looked at it, I think it's either got to give him a better throw or extend the play, and something weird happens, you know.
What read was that?
That was just Mark, you know. That's the first guy in our progression on that play. So.
How frustrating is the penalty on the two-point conversion that backs you up, though?
Yeah, it hurts. Obviously, you know, down there it gets loud. You know, there's some movement. There's a lot of communication that happens. But yeah, I think it's certainly, if you're on, you know, going for it on the 2 versus on the 7, it's probably a little, the odds are probably a little better there.
Did something feel different or click different in the 4th quarter? Did you start to feel it a little bit at that point?
Yeah, I think just staying on the field, like I said, you know, when you if you don't stay on the field, everybody says, "Oh, we're not in a rhythm," and you know, one drop gets magnified here and there. But when you stay on the field and you convert 3rd downs or whatever it is, and you get some chunk plays, everybody feels good. But you got to stay on the field to get more plays, and usually good things happen.
Trevor, any common theme on 3rd downs that you guys can pinpoint?
No, I think early they were, you know, definitely challenging us and made some big plays, but just weren't consistent enough. Weren't consistent enough.
fair to say that the last couple of weeks you guys have been kind of getting in your own way at times?
Yeah, I think we can be as good as we want to be. But yeah, I think we're close, but that's, that doesn't mean anything.
Trevor, how different is it out there without Alvin?
Yeah, he's a difference maker, and he's got to be accounted for on every snap. So, yeah, I think Mark played really well. But yeah, Alvin, changes the game a little bit.
Did you guys do anything to neutralize their pass rush in the second half? It seemed like it was less disruptive on the offense.
Yeah, I think once they got up, they were playing a little more coverage, and the offensive line I thought played well all day. So, when they're playing coverage, they're not disrupting the timing of the routes, and there's a little more rhythm to the passing game. But when they're challenging you and disrupting the timing, sometimes you got to hold the ball longer and push the ball down the field. So maybe that's what it looked like.
Trevor, you guys have talked to us all year about playing without injured players. But when this happens, how much does it make it harder when you guys are dealing with a couple missed extra points or fumble?
Yeah, I think injuries. I think you don't want to focus on injuries because everybody's doing the same thing. I think Tennessee was pretty banged up too. So that's just the point of the season, the NFL season. That's why it's the strength of the team and not just individual players. So I think we still got a really good team, and we're going to get it fixed.
What was Sean's message to the team after this one?
Yeah, just details. These details we got to clean up here and there. The game played out how we thought it would. To a certain extent, we just a couple details we got to get cleaned up. There's not much margin for error.
You said it's close. Are you seeing, and you said you got a good team, are you seeing enough to sort of give you confidence going forward, even if it wasn't great this week?
Yeah. Like you said, we got a good team. And yeah, this is the NFL. You're not blowing people out. You're not, winning by 3-4 scores every week. The margin for error is next to nothing. And these games, whatever percent of them come down to one possession at the end. And if you slip up on a few details, that's what happens.
Is there any part of your fourth quarter that now it's been 2.5 games that you've actually been able to find some kind of personal rhythm maybe?
Yeah, I've played 3 weeks in a row now, so I feel like I'm a starter at this point. So that part's good, but yeah, that part happened organically probably midway through last game. So.
Anything else for Trevor?
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Trevor. Safe travels.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Oh, we've got Ingram and Juan, I think.
That was Saints quarterback Trevor Siemian, and he said it. Our margin of error right now is too small to be making some of the mistakes that we've made, and the penalties today, nine of them for 65 yards. That's not going to help you out, especially the timeliness of those penalties really cost them in several instances. And then there was that one turnover, Deontay Harris on a punt return to start the second half. He fumbles, and that immediately turns it over to a Titans score. So those penalties, the turnovers, that's stuff that can't continue to happen for this team. There was a lot better ability to hold on to the ball today. There weren't as many drops as we've seen. You can't fault Ty Montgomery for dropping that pass early. He got his finger basically ripped off. And then there was a drop by Troutman, but he had a much better showing today. Simeon also mentioned their third down efficiency. They were 5 of 12 on third down. That's not going to cut it either. So a couple of things that they need to clean up. And as you said, it's the NFL. It's going to be tough. We're going to have to fight. It's going to be close ball games from here on out, especially with the personnel that they have. It has to be a team effort. Everybody has to be doing their part. Linebacker Demario Davis, and running back Mark Ingram. Take a look at his numbers today because it was a good game for him. Obviously a big day in breaking the all-time rushing record that's been held by Deuce McAllister, and spoke to Deuce last week ahead of this game and ahead of the possibility of Ingram breaking that record. And he said that he was absolutely okay with Ingram breaking the record, that McAllister and his teammates had their time and they had a great time playing through the era that they did, and they were able to accomplish their offense, obviously very prolific with Drew Brees at the helm. And he said that Ingram's put in a lot of work, and it's great for him to get recognized for that and achieve this milestone, being able to come back this season and get those 20 yards that he needed coming into today's game to pass McAllister, who was sitting at 6,096 yards all-time rushing. And Ingram did finish with 47 yards, so he more than passed that. It was actually interesting on the play that he passed McAllister. It was the start of a drive in the third quarter, and the end of that drive was Ingram scoring a 13-yard rushing touchdown. So really good few minutes of play there by Ingram. And I don't know if you were watching or not, but he took the ball immediately and threw it over to the sideline. He was not going to let that ball get taken by anybody and get stuck in this wager war that Tom Brady got stuck in after he broke his record earlier this year, trying to get a ball back from a fan. Ingram also effective in the pass game, had 4 receptions for 61 yards. He had that 1 touchdown that I mentioned, but really effective overall for this team. It's just going to be hard to make up for the yardage and the impact that running back Alvin Kamara has. So hopefully he will be back on the football field soon, as the next game up for the Saints is in Philadelphia. They're playing the Eagles. Going to be an interesting one there, and then back here against the Bills and the Cowboys for the next few. Bills, obviously, tough opponent. It'll be a fun game on Thanksgiving. Hopefully everybody will come here, and then somebody will invite me over for Thanksgiving dinner because I don't have any family here. So if anybody wants to invite me over after the game, I'm down for turkey. I like a good cherry pie or something like that. I'm not a big pumpkin. I'm not sure what's the popular items here for people to eat on Thanksgiving, but we'll start figuring that out in the next couple of days. Let's take a look at a few more stats. Deontay Harris mentioned he was very effective through the pass game. He had a 46-yard catch in the second quarter from Siemian that set up an 11-yard pass from Siemian to Traquan Smith for their first touchdown of the game. Made it 6-3 at that point. That was the only time that the Saints led in this ball game. Again, there was the missed point after attempt after that one that kept it at 6-3. But Harris ended up with 84 yards, an average of 28 because he had 3 receptions, and that 46 was his long. It looks like we're going to have to go with an audible here, as linebacker Quan Alexander is actually coming in to the locker room to talk. So we'll
sequence this in the second quarter. Just had roughing the passer, take away an interception. You had a DPI, give him a new set of downs.
Mm-hmm.
How hard is that in that area of the field for you have to defend the basically 3 drives? Right?
It was very hard. We can't worry about what the refs calls and stuff like that. We got to be able to stop those guys in those situations, and we can do that. We just got to get back to the drawing board and figure it out, and we'll be better next week.
Did you see the roughing the passer penalty on tape?
Yeah, I seen it.
What did you see?
I mean, there's nothing I can do about it, or you know what I'm saying? I didn't think it was a roughing passer, but the ref did. So we just got to keep going and keep playing and find a way to get out the field.
What are you supposed to do in that situation?
I don't know what you're supposed to do. Just keep playing hard. Hopefully they don't call it the next time. That's all I told them. Just keep playing hard. Just keep getting to the quarterback. That's all you can do.
Well, I know you guys make it a point to make sure frustrations don't boil over after these last 2 losses.
Correct.
Is this going to be the hardest test of that? Does a loss like this
No,
challenge that?
we just got to get back to the drawing board. Yeah, it ain't like we're a horrible team. We're a legendary team. We just got to figure out a way to win, and we're going to do that. Just get to practice on Monday, get to watch the film, figure out the corrections, and we're going to get to it.
Is it a bigger job on, maybe you and DeMario, the leaders of this team, to keep guys up at this point?
I think everybody's still hungry. I don't think people just settle. Like I said, you just got to get back and figure out the correction we need to make, the little things. And once we fix the little things, we'll be better.
So you didn't see any kind of, I don't know, hanging heads or any kind of like that kind of thing?
When you lose, you're gonna see that. You know what I'm saying? It's better when you win. You'll see everybody happy. And when you lose, you're supposed to be mad because you're supposed to hate losing. So you just got to just take it upon yourself and look at yourself and see what you can do better to help the team, and then just figure it out.
Did you all feel the absence of CD today?
We felt the absence of a lot of people, but everybody, it's the next man up. We grown men. We know how to get out there and play and ball, and that's what we got to learn how to do.
Thank you, Quan.
I know. You have a legendary day.
Hey, Mario, one of the things Sean talked about is this team needs to do a better job of paying attention to details. What does he want to take to actually do that?
It's just a day-by-day process. I think that's a part of our culture. A part of who we are is just attention to detail, always has been. And, for the most part, I think we have a good group of guys who try to do that day in, day out.
Did you see the roughing pass penalty from Kate Ellis?
Yeah, I saw it.
What did you think of it?
I'm certainly not going to be the guy that criticizes, referees. I feel like they have a tough job and they're doing the best they can. From a defensive perspective, understanding what took place on that drive, particularly, you get an interception. That's 0 points on the board. Where it's a great thing if you can hold them to 3. So you end up allowing that drive to continue, and then get another one on the pass interference on me. Those are two bang plays. Certainly you get a chance to hold them to 3, or you get a chance to be off the field and hold them to 0 points when they got down to the red zone. So as a defender who takes pride in defense and, trying to keep the opponent from getting the least amount of points as it can, that goes against kind of what we want to happen. But certainly understand that the referees have a tough job. Sometimes you're on the other side of that and you're happy and you're not necessarily caring what if it was right or wrong. If they call it on the other team, you celebrating it. So I think the refs have a tough job. They're doing as best they can. I try to control what I can control and, leave the rest of them.
What is Caden supposed to do in that situation? And did you say anything?
No, I didn't say anything. It was a bang play. And so a lot of times bang plays, it's you do the same thing. Next time they don't call it. You do it one time, they may call it, one time they don't. And so you see it a lot of times in bang situations. And we've gotten, I guess, to a point where you see a play like that and you just kind of wait and see if are they going to throw the flag or not, because sometimes even though it doesn't look like a flag, they could throw it right there. And so and vice versa.
What happened on your pass interference play from your perspective?
Same thing, bang play. The guy was trying to force himself across my body, and I can see the quarterback look at him. And when you're on the outside of the defender, naturally you're going to have to try to jump back across, and it's a bang play. You see it happen a lot more with cornerbacks when they run slant routes, and that's one of those things. Sometimes they throw it. I've been in that same situation many times, and many times they don't throw it. But there have been a few where they have thrown it, and that one is that. And it's just tough because that's a situation where points are involved. If it's out in the middle of the field, then it's less impactful. But when you got a chance, that's third down, get off the field, and you allow them to get a first down on the 1-2 yard line, it drastically impacts the game, but it is what it is.
Mario, this is a kind of 2 straight weeks of very similar types of games. Just as one of the team's leaders, how do you kind of make sure this doesn't turn into something that kind of snowballs and kind of continues in that direction?
Well, I appreciate the fight in our team. And you know, our team responds to adversity the right way. We do a good job of not letting one game turn into 2 games. Guys will be right back into work, you know, trying to figure out how they can get better at their process, you know, the way they study film, you know, the way they practice, the way they detail their work. And that's one thing I appreciate about coming to work with this team. And so we just got to find a way to continue to get better. And each man has to continue to own their responsibilities in areas where they can improve and, you know, come better next week.
Does your job change this week a little bit in just trying to keep guys up as one of the leaders of this team?
No, I think we got a good group of guys that understand that it's very hard to win in this league. Though we've won a lot of games here, we don't take that for granted. But we know what it takes to win, and we know how to handle adversity. And you know, you just have to, in a game like this, you credit the other team for making more plays than you. You get back to the tape, you figure out what it is that you got to get better at. Certainly some things that we need to clean up and fix them and move forward. It's a lot of football left to be played, and you take it one game at a time.
Mario, y'all did a good job of keeping them out of the end zone and the red zone 3 times. How do you think y'all did overall?
It was some good things. It was some good things. We have a tremendous standard, high standard. It was a lot of good things, but certainly some things that we can correct. And you know, we'll come in next week, watch the film, and work to correct them. All right, thank you guys. Blessings.
Mark, I'll ask you the same thing as the Mario. It's kind of two straight weeks of games played out very similarly. How do you, just as one of the kind of guys who's been around the league for a long time, just kind of make sure this team doesn't let that kind of snowball from 1 to 2, 3, 4, whatever?
We just have to, you know, whether you win or lose, you have to have a 24-hour window, and you have to look at the film and analyze what you could have done better. And there's always a handful of plays throughout the duration of a game that make the difference in the outcome. You never know when those plays are going to arise or present themselves, so you have to be on point and focused at all times, because you never know if that play is going to make the difference in the game. So we just have to keep that in mind. We all have a great team, and we have a great standard, and we're going to keep pushing each other to be the best we can. And you know, we have to learn from this, grow from this, and yeah, it stings, you know what I mean? But we have to learn and grow from it, get better from it, and prepare for the next opponent.
Mark, I know winning is most important, but you became the Saints' all-time leading rusher. You thought maybe you would do it, and then you left and you came back. What does that record mean to you?
First and foremost, I'd like to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. I humble myself so he may exalt me. They say the same spirit that rose Jesus Christ from the dead lives inside of us. So daily I pray that, you know, he will, you know, guide me, lead me, and that his spirit will shine through me. So I'm just thankful to God, because without him I wouldn't be here. Thankful for all my teammates, coaches, anyone along the way, my family, my wife, my kids, my parents, anyone who's loved me and poured into me over these years of my life. I'm thankful for them. I'm appreciative of them. I couldn't have done it without everyone that I just mentioned. And it's just a tremendous blessing. I appreciate it. Still working for much, much more. But to be able to say that, and the story, the organization, a prestigious organization has had a lot of great runners come through, and a lot of great runners will continue to come through. Something to be proud of. So I'm thankful and I'm blessed, and that's just another step in the process, and I plan to continue to do a lot more.
I just talked to Deuce. He said he's happy for you. What does it mean to break a record of a player of that caliber? And you know him well, too.
Yeah, like I said, he poured into me from a young professional. Like I said, when things weren't necessarily ideal, whether it was my role in offense, whether it was injuries, whatever it may have been, he was always encouraging and supportive, and I appreciate him for that. And yeah, I'm honored to be able to, you know, be able to take over Deuce's record because he was a great player. I watched him growing up. He was special. He ran hard. He ran fast. SEC boy, you know what I mean? So I'm thankful. It's a blessing. I'm humbled.
What did you see on that final 2-point conversion went to you?
Yeah. I have a rail supposed to clear, and you know, I have a chance to get the ball at all times. I'm always prepared to, you know, be an option. And I kind of released, and backer kind of widened me a little bit. And when I cleared him, I looked back and I saw the ball in the air, tried to get it, and I felt like I was gonna catch it. And I think whoever the safety or corner who fell off, his hands was kind of like on top of mine. I initially thought he intercepted it, but yeah, I looked up, saw it, located it, tried to make the play. Felt like I was in position to, you know, make the play. I was looking the ball into my hands, and felt like his hands was just right above mine. You know what I mean? So, yeah, in a tough game like that, you always think of what you could have done more to help the team win. So yeah, that was frustrating. I wish I could have made that play. You know what I mean? To continue the game.
What do you think this offense does need to do more early in games to get going sooner?
I mean, you know, self-inflicted wounds. You know, you have to get those guys credit. They're a well-coached defense, a well-coached team, playoff team, and you just can't have those self-inflicted wounds as far as penalties or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? We all have our hands in it. I have my hands in it. You know, luckily, Callaway bailed me out on one of the, you know, illegal shifts, me and Taysom there. So we all have our hands in it. We just have to be sharp. You have to execute at all times. You have to be prepared at all times because, like I said earlier, throughout the game, there's a handful of plays that present themselves that, you know, change the outcome in the game. So just have to stay focused, stay alert, high execution, high focus, and, you know, stop the self-inflicting wounds, penalties, etc.
Is that especially important when you're missing guys like AK, Teron, Jameis, Mike Thomas, whatever?
Of course, I mean, those guys are irreplaceable, you know, all, you know, tops of their position in the league. But I think we have, you know, a great team that, you know, has a next man up mentality, and we want to make those guys proud while they're healing and getting healthy, and you know, bring victories home so they can get healthy, and you know, continue our push to be great, continue our push for a championship. So yeah, it's especially important when you're missing guys. It's especially important at all times.
Back to the record for a second. It looked like you threw the ball right after you broke the record back to the sideline. Are you counting in your head? How does that work?
I think when I came in at halftime, a couple of people had mentioned like you was like a yard or two away. So after I did it, I knew I had got over 1 or 2 yards, and I just threw it to the side. So unfortunately, I was able to kind of count them up. You know, people were counting for me. I wasn't necessarily counting them up, but yeah, I just knew coming out of half, they told me it was like 2 yards or something. It's not a big deal. You know, my main focus is on doing the best I can to help us win. But I think someone just had mentioned it to me. So that first run of that half, when I got whatever 6 yards, whatever it may have been, I just threw the ball to the side so it didn't get lost in the shuffle.
What are your plans for that ball?
I'm just going to frame it, man. Yeah, I have a lot of jerseys over time, a lot of pictures and different things over the years. And, you know, one day I plan on having a nice setup, and that should be a centerpiece of it. Yeah, thank you.
That's it, Jim? That's it? Yeah.
Congrats to running back Mark Ingram on passing the all-time rushing record here. As you heard him say, he's going to hold on to that ball, put it in a case, definitely create a nice little room. After he's all done playing football, of course, still has some more run in him. Now, he mentioned self-inflicted wounds, some little things here and there. It doesn't feel great right now coming off a 23-21 loss to the Titans. And, of course, after last week's loss to the Falcons. However, the Saints are still in the win column as far as the overall record goes, 5-4, so over 500. Currently sitting second in the NFC South. The Bucs ahead at 6-3. Carolina right now, they're 4-5, currently leading in their game, and then the Falcons again in last place at 4-5 as well. So there is room to gain on Tampa Bay. Helps that the Saints beat them earlier this year. Tom Brady, great quarterback, but unfortunately for the Bucs, hasn't been able to get it done on a few occasions this year. So we'll see how the rest of the season pans out. Coming up next, it is the game against the Eagles. And the Eagles are playing right now against the Broncos. They do have a 10-0 lead in that one. And the Eagles are 3-6 on the season, so a winnable game there if the Saints can correct all these little things that they said that they need to. It was a good game, just not enough in the end as they fall 23-21. We're going to check out some of the highlights from this game. I'm sure there'll be a couple runs from Mark Ingram, and we'll be back with another pre- and post-game show next Sunday. Make sure you check out the Saints podcast tomorrow. John DeShazer and myself will be on breaking down this one for you. Have a great rest of the Sunday.
Yep, they passed more today than they've run. Here's a 3rd and 6, and they're going to the air again. They're going deep. Oh, they've got Harris. What a catch! Brought down by Jackson, or attempted to, and then he staggers. Running back is Ingram. 1st and 10 for Siemian at the 11. The blocks, throw, touchdown. They got Traquan Smith, an 11-yard touchdown. 1st and 10, Taysom Hill will take it himself with a nice block by Irma, and he's past the 30. Diving to the 27th. 3rd down, 6. Lamb started against the Chiefs a couple weeks ago here. Oh, Lamb, they just shoved right into him with Davenport. Just took Lamb and shoved him into his quarterback. Food is always a priority. 1st and 10. Ingram in the backfield. Blocked by Hurst. Ingram on the fly and chased downfield by Brown. Taysom Hill, bottom of your screen, 3rd and 13. Siemian, and caught for the touchdown!